My motivation has always been about my family, my neighbors, and community, and I think it's certainly a key opportunity to improve the jobs and potential that we have in Alaska. We have, my wife and I have been married 40 years. We have 4 grandkids here in Anchorage, and I really want to make sure that they have the same potential and opportunity growing up, not only for quality education, but also for jobs. And that's really a key motivator for me. This last session, the legislature and I supported the move past a percent of market value legislation, and that basically permitted, for the first time ever, basically a statutorily authorized 5% draw, and that varies a little bit on an average amount, but basically 5% draw on the $65 billion permanent fund, and that generates this year will be around 2.7 or more $1 billion that actually go into the budget for distribution and use and expenditure by the legislature. It also, the resolution of the dividend as advanced in the Supreme Court basically places the dividend as a line item in the budget and to be considered and measured against other competing interests in the budget for keeping airports open and police and firemen and education. I don't see a need at this point for taxes, any increased taxes. I think we're looking at again, if you have a $65 billion savings account and you do a 5% draw on that, that's averages around $3 billion, and that puts a pretty big hole in a $2.5 billion deficit. So in my view, we have the financial resources, the natural resources. We have trillions of dollars in oil and gas assets, and I think what we need to do is play to our long suit, and that would be utilizing the resources that we've got and the assets that we have without the advent of new taxes. We do not need, in my view, new taxes. I think we need to continue to respond to the needs of the community with respect to updating our criminal system. We made some significant changes in SB 54 last year. It was a long time coming. It was about 10 months to respond to some very real problems that arose under the passage of SB 91, which is a well-intentioned, comprehensive exercise that basically resulted in the closing of the Palmer Correctional Center as an example. But the real problem we have is recidivism, and I think SB 91 spoke to that in part. SB 54 addressed some of those shortcomings, and I think what we have to do now is just identify any specific shortcomings within our criminal code and fix it. The legislature had actually it was the intent, as I understand it, under SB 91, that the savings that were realized in reducing criminal incarceration were going to be brought forward and put into treatment. I've been talking with people and door-to-door knocking, going door-to-door and talking with people. I actually encountered some folks that worked at Highland Mountain Correctional Center and said these inmates would come in dope sick, to use their phrase, and leave dope sick. So they're not getting any treatment or weren't getting any treatment at the time. And I think that's where we kind of dropped the ball collectively, and we need to take a look at the treatment facilities that are available to us in this state and address that. Surprisingly, most of the houses that you knock or talk to, people are reasonably satisfied. They're satisfied with the community, and if you really push people on it, crime is obviously a concern. It's touched everybody. I personally, my wife and I we've had a property up in the Mat-Su that's been broken into, 5 times in successive years. So nobody is immune to crime. It's a collective effort. We need to have a bipartisan and a team effort in the legislature to address the criminal concerns that we're facing. I'm a no on one. Ballot measure 1 is it's a terrible piece of work. It's the initiative was basically went through the court system. It was rewritten after the petition process was approved. No on one. It's going to be very expensive to taxpayers in the Anchorage area, and it's going to adversely impact our economy statewide.